Hi, this is Daniel Goodman, the Pyraminx U.S. National Champion, and you're listening to the Corner Cutter Podcast.
Hey, welcome to the Corner Cutter Podcast, podcasting since 2014. I'm your host, Josh, and this is the most consistent cubing podcast dedicated to entertain and educate you with in-depth conversations with cubers from all across the sport. My website is thecornercutterpodcast.com, and if you have any feedback on anything we mentioned in this episode, make sure to send that in to feedback@thecornercutterpodcast.com. Today, I have an awesome conversation with Daniel Goodman, also known as DGCubes on YouTube, and he is also the host of the Dilsoni podcast. We talk about everything from his national title to how to make quality YouTube videos and grow your channel. So you'll definitely want to keep listening to this. Two things before we get right into the interview. First, I was successful at my competition I went to last weekend. I guess it was 2 weekends ago by now. And I'll dive into that in next week's episode because I didn't have an episode last week. And the other thing is, some of you guys might not know this, you can support this show when buying cubes by using my promo codes and affiliate links. You can find out all that information at thecornercutterpodcast.com/support. And now here's my conversation with DGCubes. Now I'm here with DGCubes, also known as Daniel Goodman, and he is the Pyraminx National Champion.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Okay, to start right off, why don't you tell us something interesting about yourself that most people wouldn't know?
Well, it's kind of hard when you have a YouTube channel because a lot of things like that end up being said at one point or another. But I think a lot of people might have missed that I've been vegetarian for my entire life. I think that's kind of a fun fact. Both my parents are vegetarians, so I grew up in a vegetarian household, so I've never had meat before. But
that's fact. Interesting. I definitely did not know that fact. So
yeah, I think I've said it like once on my channel before, but yeah, I haven't mentioned it that much, but yeah.
Okay, so why don't we start? Our second question is, what happened in Pyraminx Finals? On the speed solving forums, you listed your goals in the nationals. In the nationals thread, you said absolutely absurd goals that definitely won't happen, but a man can dream. And
right.
One of them was win Pyraminx. Okay.
Yes.
What happened there?
Okay, well, I really didn't expect to win Pyraminx because I personally think that, Drew Brads and like Ben Kyle, I think they're much faster than I am on average. But I was really kind of hoping that I could do well in Pyraminx if I could control my nerves and everything like that. But I wasn't that confident because last year at Nationals I did make Pyraminx Finals, but I ended up in 8th place just because my hands were so shaky, and they were actually my hands basically went numb because I was so nervous. I was basically freaking out. So this year I decided I came up with a couple ways to deal with those nerves beforehand. So the big one was listening to calming music, so I actually put on some Legend of Zelda music on my headphones, and I would listen to that between all my solves, and that really helped me calm down. So I was basically in a very calm state between each solve, and then once I decided I was ready, I would take off the headphones and tell my judge, and then I would just go. The first solve was not ideal. It was a 3.7. For reference, I average around low 3s, high 2s. So that was not particularly great. There were some lockups on that. But then the next 3 solves in a row, I was really calm beforehand, and I managed to get a 2.5, 2.3, and 2.1. After I got the 2.1, which was my 4th solve, I was very happy because I knew with that average there was a very good chance at podium. And then on the last solve, I basically just needed to get something half decent. I didn't really need to get a great solve or anything to win or podium. So I ended up getting a 3.2, which did it. And so that it was really I think what happened was I was able to control my nerves much better than I thought I would be able to, and other people weren't able to do that. So I think that's basically what contributed to the win this year.
Yeah, congratulations on winning. That was
Thank
amazing.
you so much. Yeah, I did not expect it. I mean, as you know, but
yeah, your reaction was great as well.
Thanks.
What, like, getting good solves, like, after your 3.7, you got a 2 something. I don't remember exactly, but does that help you, like, calm you down a little bit, or would you say it makes you even more nervous?
Well, the one thing that, like, normally in a normal situation in competitions, I'm really sort of focusing on my times and what I need to get between each solve. But this time I was really kind of just thinking about each individual solve on its own and not really how it contributes to the average. Because if I think about that, then I start going crazy in my mind, and I'm like, oh, I need a 2.7 here and things like that, you know. But so I think getting good solves definitely helped. The only time I really let myself think about my times is after the 4th solve, because at that point my worst possible average was like probably around a 2.8 or so, and I kind of knew that because I had 3 really good solves in a row. But honestly, like, going into the 3rd and 4th solves, I was like so on edge. Because, you know, any small mistake could really, you know, lose the win for me. So that was really scary, but I tried not to focus so much on the individual times.
Mm-hmm. When you saw Drew Brads get that pop, what were you thinking?
Right, so that's an interesting one. So also for the most part during finals, I really made a point to not pay attention to other people's times. Like, when I was listening to music, I had it so loud that I couldn't hear any cheering for other people, and I wasn't looking at the crowd at all. But I did catch Drew's pop in the corner of my eye during my first solve, and that definitely was a bit of a confidence booster, because I was like, you know, if Drew had a pop, it can't be that great of a solve. But I tried not to let that get to me and make me think, oh, this is an easy win or anything like that, because honestly, it was still very close. It really was not an easy win in the end. But yeah, I don't know. Drew's pop probably eased my nerves a little bit, but I tried not to think about it so much.
Drew was right next to you, correct?
Yes.
Who was on the other side of the table?
So on the other side, at the next table over, Krish was there. He was the 5th seed. And then on the other stage, they had the even seeds, so like 2nd and 4th. I believe 2nd was Ben Kyle. 4th, I forget who it was. It might have been Livia. But yeah, it was a lot of good Pyraminxers around me, so I tried not to focus on them. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So how did it feel getting second, or getting first place in the second round?
Oh, that was weird. So I think, I forget what my average was. I think it was around 3.2 or so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that one, that was really weird and unexpected, because after the second round, I was just thinking, I mean, that was a mediocre average. Like, all my counting times were 3s. So I didn't think that would really be anything great. But apparently everybody else really messed up that round, so somehow I got first. It was definitely a confidence booster, because after the first round, I got 10th in that round, and I was kind of thinking, wow, like, you know, there's kind of no way I'm going to be able to podium if it's this competitive. But yeah, definitely helped my confidence getting first in the second round with like a mediocre average. But you know, I think it's really just because other people messed up, not because I did particularly well. But yeah, that was pretty cool and really weird.
Mm-hmm. Now, what's your favorite part about vlogging at nationals?
I think my favorite part about vlogging is more the part after you actually film. So like when I go home and edit, I really enjoy that, because it allows me to like look back on all the great times I had with friends and everything. And also I like, once I have the video up, you know, I've gone back and watched vlogs from old competitions before, because they just give me such good memories. So honestly, I think it's more of sort of like an investment for the future that I make when I'm vlogging at competitions. That's really the part I enjoy the most.
Do you have a certain technique on how to get good shots, or like video fun things that you want to remember?
Yeah, I mean, not really so much. For the most part, I just kind of point the camera at myself and start talking. I do have a mic that plugs into my phone. I just use my phone for vlogging because it's definitely the easiest. But you know, just nothing that advanced. Basically, you know, just point the camera at myself and say what's going on. But yeah.
How do you remember to vlog a lot? Because I've been trying to do some audio vlogs, or I guess you could. What what's a good name for that?
Vlogcast.
Yeah. So, and then I play them in the podcast. The ones at my most recent competition are going to be featured next week.
Okay, cool.
But I just find it's hard for me to remember to give updates throughout the day and stuff like that, and then getting interviews with people is even harder.
Yeah,
I guess it's easier with
yeah.
video because you can just do it right there and you don't need it that quiet or anything.
Yeah, for sure. I would say the biggest thing is, like, for me, I always make a point to vlog after I do an event, and I try to do it as I'm going up to do an event, so then at the very least I have sort of like an introduction to the solves I'm doing, and then and like a closing statement about what I think about them. And then if anything interesting is ever going on, I just kind of take out my camera. If it's something that'll last for a while that I can get before it stops, then I'll just take out my camera and start recording. Or if I'm just going somewhere with friends, like to get lunch or something, I'll take my camera out, see what they have to say. Because that's something too that I like about vlogging. A lot of times you can just sort of, put the pressure on other people to talk, and they'll usually say something pretty funny. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything, like any good memories you have that weren't put in the blogs from Nationals 2018?
Yeah, for sure. Like there are some times, even just like hanging out in like the hotel rooms and stuff, like we would just sort of hang out, and like there wasn't really much vlogging going on, just more like talking and hanging out with friends and stuff. There was, I don't know, just sort of a couple random times where I just was kind of too lazy to take my phone out and record. Mostly just times when I was hanging out with friends, like outside of the competition area. But yeah, I mean, it's very hard to get all the good memories on a vlog, but I try my best to get like a majority of them.
How was Nationals this year with Felix being there?
Oh, that was cool. So the last time I saw Felix was at Nationals 2014, and so I got a picture with him back then, and then I was looking at that picture recently, and I was like, it'd be so funny if I got a picture with him again this year. So I did that. I'm not sure if you're on Facebook, but I posted the pictures side by side on Cubix Friends, and a lot of people thought that was pretty funny because I grew like 8 inches taller since then, and it's really funny because I was just such a new cuber back then, and now we're both well, I mean, I'm not on Felix's level or anything, but we've both been doing it for a while, and I don't feel nearly as new to the community or anything. But yeah, it was very cool.
Do you know why he decided to be staff?
I think, I'm not entirely sure why, but it probably is partially due to the fact that like when you're at a competition where you don't normally go, people don't get to see you that often. So he probably, if he wasn't on staff, he would probably constantly be surrounded by like people asking for autographs and stuff. And I'm guilty of that myself. I asked for a picture with him, but I think probably staffing is a good way to stay busy during the competition without like I don't know, like. And I guess he still gets some time to relax and meet fans, and they did have the autograph booth there for that purpose. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not entirely sure why. Maybe he just wanted to help out, but that's my guess.
Before we move on to talking about the Dilsoni podcast, why is your name DGCubes and not DGCube?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question. I guess I kind of wanted to be at least a little unique, and like JR Cuber was the big XY Cuber back in the day when I started my channel, so I guess I didn't want to flat out copy him, and originally I actually wanted to go with DGCubed, and then for some reason it said that username was taken or something, so I ended up going with a backup, which is DGCubes. But I don't know, I'm not really entirely sure why, but I guess I just didn't want to be too mainstream.
If you were going to start your channel over, or were just getting into it, would you choose a different name?
I think I would. I'm not sure what type of name I would choose, but I've heard some really cool names recently. I like Corner Cutter a lot. I have to compliment you on that. I really like that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, of course. And like J-Perm is pretty cool. Things like that. I think those are like really just creative cubing names that aren't like overused or anything. I don't know exactly what I would do. I would need to take a lot of time to think about it, which I haven't done because I'm sticking with the name I have. But, I think I probably would do something different just to make myself stand out a little more.
Okay. So, are you going to continue with the Dilsoni podcast?
Yeah, so we've gotten this question a lot recently. Yeah, we are going to continue with the podcast. Actually, just the other night, I sent a message in our group chat that we have about ways to keep it going, despite our busy schedules and everything. So the main reason it sort of stopped is because, it takes a while to edit, and also it's really hard to plan out with 5 hosts. So we decided to make a couple changes to the way we're going to be doing the podcast to make it a lot easier on us to get them out more regularly. So there will be an episode going up in September. We had it recorded for a while, but we just never got around to editing it. So there will be a September episode, and same thing for October. There's going to be one then. And then after that, we're basically going to be switching to having 3 hosts per episode instead of all of us. And then, we'll shoot for 3. If we can get more, that would be great. But we're going to basically be going for 3 hosts. And we're going to keep it a little more structured with time limits and stuff, because sometimes we go super long and that makes it take even longer to edit. So we're going to try to keep it under an hour 30, but above an hour still. And the other thing that we're thinking, I'm not sure how well this is going to work, but the idea is right after we finish filming, the designated editor for that episode will just go ahead and edit right away, in one fell swoop. So it just, so editing is all done. And so basically the entire podcast would be done, each episode would be done in a single day, which would be ideal if that can work out. So I don't know, we have some ideas for changes to make it more feasible. But yeah, we definitely plan to continue because we all really enjoy doing it. It's just kind of hard because we're all very busy, but yeah.
Okay, great. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, editing the same day does sound like a good idea, because I find when I record an episode or an interview like this, if I edit it the same day, it's a lot easier to remember the parts where you need to cut out or fix something.
Yeah, exactly.
So you may not have to scroll through the whole episode and re-listen to it.
Yeah, that would be ideal for sure. Hopefully that can work out.
Do you have any behind the scenes information on how you were doing it before you took this hiatus? How did you set up all the hosts? How did you get them together at once?
Yeah, it was not easy. So usually one of us, usually me or Adam, would send out a form to the 5 of us, a Google form, and we would just check the dates that we were available. And then we would really try to get all 5 of us. If not, maybe we would go with 3 or 4, and we would pick a day. The problem with that is a lot of times, especially during the school year, people get unexpected amounts of homework, or people are suddenly busy and things pop up that they forgot about. So usually we would have a couple backup dates just in case. But yeah, it's very difficult to organize 5 people to all record something for an hour, but usually we would get it to work out. But yeah, usually we just use a Google form and hope for the best.
What software do you use to record and edit?
So I think, personally I record my audio with Audacity, and, so all the hosts record separate audio for our podcast, so, if somebody, so you can cut out individual people saying things if there's something that, if it gets too chaotic or whatever. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so I don't know if they all record with Audacity, but I know a decent amount of us do. And then personally I edit with the same software I use for video editing, which is Adobe Premiere Elements 12. It's not really meant for audio editing, but it can do a decent amount, so it works out pretty well for me. But yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Why did you decide to publish the Dilsoni podcast on a separate channel?
Yeah, so I guess it's because since there are 5 of us, it would be hard to decide whose channel it would go on. And also it wouldn't really fit so well with the themes of our channels, because, most of us sort of upload anywhere from 4 to 15 minute videos, depending on the video, somewhere around that range. So it doesn't really fit to just have a 90-minute podcast thrown in there every month. So we decided it would be a better idea to just have a separate dedicated channel for it, and it also keeps it more organized. So, and then also as far as monetization goes, then it just goes to sort of one group account, so we don't have to worry about splitting the money or anything. But yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Okay. So what have been your favorite moments on Dilsoni? Anything that you can easily remember?
Specific moments are so hard because we've done so many of them, but I guess I always love cubing in the news. That's my favorite segment on our podcast. It's just pretty funny, I think. Honestly, just in general, we laugh a lot, and I really like that. Just hanging out with those guys and whatever guests we have is always a really good time. I don't know. I think as a whole, I just really enjoy the whole vibes of the podcast. But yeah, it's hard to say specific memories.
Mm-hmm. What has been your favorite guest? And this is not putting down any other guest. So
right. Favorite guests? It's like you said, not putting down any other ones, but some standouts are definitely Sam Schultz. We've had him on once, and he's going to be also on the October episode, I believe. So yeah, recording those episodes, those were really fun. Sam is a really cool guy, so that was really fun to record. I liked the episode we did with Patrick Ponce, because he actually came to my house for that one, and we recorded together, which is pretty cool. I like doing live recordings like that, so those are kind of standouts. Okay. I don't know. I really enjoy all the guests. I can't think of a bad guest that we've had, but I guess standouts would probably be like Sam and Patrick.
Mm-hmm. Now moving on to your YouTube channel.
All right.
What has been your favorite, most popular, and the video you've gotten the most feedback on? Maybe you could just name those.
Yeah. So favorite videos.
When I say favorite,
yeah,
the favorite video you created, like the time you had in creating it, and then like the favorite video you have of all your videos. So two separate ones.
Yeah. As far as my favorite video that I've created, like while I was making it, I really enjoyed, and this is a really stupid video, honestly, but my 10 things non-cubers say video from a couple months ago. That was like super fun for me to film. I just like really sarcastic humor, and I put a lot of that in that video. And it was just, I had a really great time filming and editing that one. As far as favorite videos, like looking back, or favorite videos to rewatch, definitely some of my competition vlogs, like I said earlier, those are, I really like rewatching those and remembering the good times. I also am usually pretty proud of my Q&As. I think I really enjoy making those, and I rewatch them occasionally. But those are probably my favorite types of videos that I've made. Okay,
all-time most popular.
Okay, yeah. So I looked ahead of time, and I have my top 5 here. So the GAN 473, the video about how I got that is my 5th most popular video. It has like I think 300,000 views or so. I'm actually kind of proud of that video because it was if you haven't seen Felix's contest before, like that he did for that, it was like a really convoluted thing you needed to figure out to win the GAN 473, and I figured it out, which was pretty cool. And then my 4th most viewed is my Square 1 tutorial, which I guess I'm pretty proud of. 3rd most viewed is the GAN 473 unboxing. Like, I mean, an unboxing video is an unboxing video, so nothing really that special about it, but people like to see that, I guess. And then my top 2 most viewed are kind of funny. My April Fool's Day Devil's Algorithm video has 1.8 million views right now. Wow. A lot of people believe it, despite the fact that it says it's a joke in the description and in the video. I'm not particularly proud of that video. I think the pun was okay, but the video itself wasn't anything that great. And then my most viewed video is the 525 3x3 world record from 2015. I mean, I can't really be proud of that video because it took 1 minute to film and a couple minutes to upload. So, I mean, it was cool that I got it on camera, but I'm not particularly proud of that video.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Was there ever a video that you had great expectations for that just didn't perform or didn't get as many views as you would have liked?
Yeah, definitely. I would say the biggest ones are like my Who Wants to Be a Millionaire Cubing Edition videos. Those have actually gotten a decent amount of views over time, but right from the start, I remember episode 3 didn't do particularly well, and I was kind of disappointed. Fortunately, it has gotten some more views over time. It's like pretty high on my list of like my most viewed videos now, but in the beginning that was kind of disappointing. As far as other videos, I can't really think of anything specific that I was disappointed by, but a lot of YouTube is it's kind of weird because some videos some times of year just don't get as many views as other times of year. Like the summer always gets less views than the winter for some reason. So a lot of times I have to remind myself that it's not the video itself that's like bad. It's just the time of year that YouTube's not showing it to people for some reason. But
that's interesting. Yeah. I wonder how that would transfer to podcasting.
Yeah.
Maybe because I would say they get less views because people are busy and don't have time to sit and watch something. But listening might be different in that respect.
Yeah. I wonder if it's any different than videos.
I might have to keep an eye on that.
Yeah, check those analytics.
Yeah, that's something I do enjoy looking at. Is that something that you focus on a lot or look at on your channel a lot, like how videos are doing, like when people drop off and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's definitely something I pay attention to. I don't think about it like too much, like I don't go crazy with it, but I look at my analytics like on a regular basis, not like daily or anything, but pretty frequently. I'll just take a look and see how it's doing, see if it's like improving month to month or if it's like going down and things like that, just so I can sort of figure out what I can improve on.
Now let's talk about some tips for new or people who have smaller YouTube channels. What are some good ways to promote videos?
Okay, yeah. So as far as promoting videos, I would say one thing you can do, and this is there's definitely, you have to be careful with how you do this, but something that I think is okay at times is if you have a video you're really proud of, you can post it on like forums or Facebook groups. Speed selfing, some people post videos on there if they're really proud of them. But what I don't think you should do is if you have, like, I don't think you should post every video you upload on a forum or on a Facebook group, because then people get annoyed and it seems like spam. But I think it's safe to do it if you have a video you're really proud of, you put a lot of work into it, and you want other people to see it, and you think they could benefit from it. Another way you could promote, not really videos, but like yourself as a channel, is just to be active in like the comment sections of other videos. And not by like promoting yourself. Don't don't go to comment sections and say, subscribe to me, like sub for sub or things like that. But, like in comment sections, if you're just sort of active, people will start to recognize your name. And that's a big deal. When somebody knows your name, then, it's familiar to them. And if they see a video by you, they'll probably be more likely to click on it. So I would say those things are, definitely important for promoting videos. Yes,
that does sound helpful. How do you decide what to make a video about?
Yeah, so I have a list, a Google Doc of a lot of videos I want to make. So basically, in the beginning, I would just sort of, I didn't have this Google Doc, so I would just kind of come up with an idea on the spot, like, hey, let's do some solves with commentary or something like that. But, yeah, nowadays, it's more like, I'm kind of catching up on videos, so it's not really so much, trying to come up with ideas. It's more just looking at this Google Doc and seeing what I haven't done yet, and then doing those. But, yeah, fortunately, I haven't really had the problem of coming up with ideas for quite a while, just because there are so many videos I want to make, and whenever I come up with a new idea, I just add it there.
Yeah, that's one thing I guess is similar to me right now. Like, I have probably more than that, quite a few guests lined up that have said they would come on the podcast or show ideas of things I could talk about by myself. So it is a lot easier every week, so you just pick one and then you can set up the interview and stuff like that. So you're not
for sure
continually having to come up with ideas.
Yeah.
Now, what do you think about asking people to like and subscribe at the end of each video or even at the beginning? Do you think that's necessary? What's your opinion?
Yeah, so I don't personally do it all that much. I don't think it's really necessary. At least subscribing I don't think is so necessary. I think asking people to like videos is actually a little bit more useful because a lot of times, like people like me, I watch a lot of YouTube. If I enjoy a video, a lot of times, I'll forget to like it, and then at the end of the video they'll say like if you enjoyed it, and I'll be like, yeah, I did enjoy this video. So I think that's okay. I feel like subscribing, though, isn't really something that people forget to do. Like, if they really like all your videos, then they're going to subscribe to you. So, I don't know. Personally, I think asking for likes is alright at the end of your videos. Asking for people to subscribe, it doesn't really harm anyone, but I'm not sure if it really helps.
Yeah, and I guess it depends if you're getting a lot of outside traffic.
Yeah, that's true, too.
Because if, like, most of your traffic is coming from, or not coming from subscribers, then asking to subscribe might be more useful than the other thing. Do likes help you in any way, like boosting your videos?
That's something that I'm not entirely sure about. So YouTube doesn't really let me in on much as far as how their algorithm works and things like that. But the way I see it, it can't really hurt. And from what I have heard, when people like and dislike videos, I think likes and dislikes are kind of treated about equally by YouTube because it just shows that people are engaged in the videos. So as far as I'm aware, I think they help promote it a little bit more. At least YouTube's algorithm sort of is more likely to promote videos that get more likes. But I'm not entirely sure about that. I don't really know how the algorithm works, and I'm not sure if anybody really does.
Mm-hmm. One of your videos I really enjoyed was the video of an unboxing from a non-cuber. That was really funny.
Yeah, I really enjoyed making that video. Yeah, that was really fun.
How did you get sponsored by Cube Depot?
Okay, yeah, so this is sort of an interesting story. So, it started out, well, in 2016, I got an email from them because I had been testing for them for a while. And that sort of happens when you have, like, a YouTube channel with probably a couple thousand subscribers. You'll start getting emails from stores asking if you want to test some puzzles. So, I had been testing for Cube Depot for a little while, and I was also testing for other stores at the time. And so they asked me if I wanted to be sponsored. And so actually at the time, I wasn't really ready to commit to a single store, just because I wasn't entirely sure what the best store for me was, like for me to promote fully. Like just if I were to promote a single store on my channel, I wasn't entirely sure what that would be at the time. But then over the next year, I kind of tried out basically every store. And I figured out from everything that I had experienced that Cube Depot was the store that I could get behind the most, and that they would be the best sponsors for me. Mm-hmm. So I emailed them back about a year later, and I asked if they would still be open to a sponsorship, and they said yes. So that was really nice, and I've been sponsored since June 2017. So it's been a while now, but yeah, I'm really happy that worked out.
Oh, good. Now, speaking of Cube Depot, how good is the Cube Depot Pyraminx? That's something that
yeah.
I really am interested in.
Yeah. So I currently use the Cube Depot Rocket Bell. So I used a regular bell before that I hadn't really done anything to. And the biggest difference between the regular bell and the Cube Depot one, I would say the Cube Depot one just feels a lot smoother. The bell is sort of like a scratchy sort of feeling. I don't know, it feels very rough, but whatever lube they put in it works really well, and it just feels really smooth between the turns. And also I think, I feel like the corner cutting has improved a little bit. That's something that I've always had trouble with on Pyraminx. I feel like they're always lacking corner cutting a little bit. But I feel like they improved it a little bit from the original bell, which is definitely a plus. I don't really have many problems with it. The only thing is, I still think corner cutting could be improved on just about any Pyraminx, because sometimes I do try to corner cut a little bit much, and it doesn't quite work. But I do really enjoy the Cube Depot Rocket Bell, and the Rocket Moyu Magnetic is also really good. It's very, very smooth, just like the bell. Whatever lube they're putting in it works wonders. So I don't know when they're going to release them, but I think they're doing a very good job with them.
Okay, how are the tips on those?
The tips, let's see. So the tips are very strong on the bell. I'm gonna get my other bell real quick just to compare.
Sure.
Yeah. So the tips on the Cube Depot one, just like the body of it actually, it's a lot smoother. Whereas on the regular bell, you can kind of hear. Like I don't know if you could hear both of those, but the second one was the Rocket one, and it's definitely a lot smoother with very, very little like scratchy sounds between while you're turning it, and I feel like it also snaps into place a lot more. So I feel like it might actually prevent +2s a little bit better. I'm not entirely sure about that, but I don't know. The magnets are very heavy on the tips, but I don't mind that. I personally prefer heavy magnets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then I guess if they're heavy, they won't accidentally turn when you don't want them to.
Right. Yeah, for sure. It sort of has upsides and downsides, because heavy magnets could result in not being able to turn them because the magnets are too strong. If you just turn if you do like a very light flick or something. But I think that's just something to get used to, because once you do get used to it, you probably shouldn't get +2s from like not flicking hard enough or anything, because it'll just go.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, that's something I definitely will look into investing in once it's released. It looks really good.
Hopefully they release them soon, but yeah.
Yeah. Now you've gotten official results of all the events except 5 blind, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, do you have an idea when you will get an official solve?
Well, so I don't have any upcoming competitions with 5 blinds. This past weekend, I actually had a competition with 6 FMC attempts and 4 blind and 5 blind. So that was really mind-numbing, but I had 1 5 blind attempt because there was a 45-minute cumulative time limit, so I could only really fit 1 solve in there, and I was off by 2 centers, and I did an extra parity alg at the end, and it would have been 23 minutes. So I'm kind of annoyed because if I hadn't done that extra parity alg at the end, I would have only been off by 2 centers, and that would have been like pretty devastating. I think it's kind of only a matter of time until I get an official success because I've been so close in the 2 that I've done. The other one that I did in the past was 7 centers off, so pretty close. But I don't know. I would say hopefully my next comp with 5 blind I can do it, but I don't have any of those coming up yet. So we'll see. Hopefully soon though.
Okay, transitioning from that, have you ever gotten anything free by solving a cube?
Well, this is actually kind of interesting. I got, this is a story from a while ago, actually. Multiple years ago, I was doing some 2x2 outside, on the deck outside of my house in the backyard, and my neighbor was over just hanging out with me and my dad. And so my neighbor was sort of watching me, and, you know, he was talking to my dad because they're both, like, grown-ups, and I was just like a kid solving my cubes. And so he was sort of watching me out of the corner of his eye, and he was seeing the sort of times I was getting. And then he said, I'll give you $10 if the next solve's a 3. And so I did the scramble, and at the time I probably averaged, like, 5 or so. I wasn't, like, particularly fast or anything, but it was a lucky solve, and I got a 2. And so he gave me $10 for that, which was pretty nice. He actually followed through on his offer, so that was pretty funny.
Oh, but, yeah, that's great. That's a good story.
Yeah.
You got something free on the plane too, right? 2 nationals.
Oh yeah, I forgot all about that. Yeah, so I was on the plane with Derpy. We were heading to Nats, and the flight attendant saw Derpy and I. He saw me and Derpy cubing, and He sort of just stopped in the aisle for a second, and he kind of had his mouth open, like he was just so impressed. And then later on, I was just sort of, you know, he came back to talk to us on the plane, and I told him about cubing and that we were heading to nationals and everything. And he wished me good luck, and he wished Derpy good luck. And then later on in the flight, he gave us a care package with like food in it and stuff from Delta. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, so actually, yeah, I have gotten a couple free things from cubing. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, speaking of getting stuff for free, your 473, have you gotten any bids on that?
I have had a couple offers, but I'm not sure how serious they are, because a lot of them are just like YouTube comments. You know, some people say like, oh, I'd buy that for $100, but I'm not sure if they're really serious. Yeah, no, it's not really up for sale though. Like, that's, you know, I cherish it so much, so, you know, I don't think I'd be selling it anytime soon, but I mean, I'd be interested to see what people would offer me.
If there was a serious offer, what do you think you would sell it for? Because I've heard in the past you've said you would never sell that.
Yeah, okay, so any, like
what's something you would consider?
Yeah, if somebody legitimately said they would give me $1,000 for it, that's something I you know, I would kind of, I feel like I might have to take that offer. It would hurt, but I might have to do that. Anything below 1,000, that would be really hard, honestly. Like, even if somebody offered me like $750 or so, I would have trouble with it. I might consider it, but I don't know. Hard to say.
Okay. Let's chat about Pyraminx a little bit. I don't know if you know this, but Pyraminx is my main event. My best official result is 3.39, and
okay, nice.
I average like sub 3.5.
Okay,
so
cool.
Like, what got you? Why is Pyraminx your main event?
Yeah, so it actually started out in 2013. Wow, that's a while ago now. Yeah, so I had a competition in 2013, and it was my first competition where I was competing in Pyraminx. And so I had like a Shangxiao because that was the best thing you could use back then. And I ended up getting an 8-something average and like a 492 single. And after I got those solves, like the 492, I remember my judge was like even impressed with that because it was like, I don't know, that was a pretty good single at the time, I guess. And I felt really good about myself because that was kind of the first time I got results that were considered like pretty good. You know, because I was averaging around like mid-20s on 3x3 at the time, so I wasn't like particularly fast or anything. So I kind of figured Pyraminx was my best event, even with the little amount of practice I had done with it. So from there I was like, let's get a little faster, and it just kind of, over time, I grew to really enjoy it. And I feel like Pyraminx is one of the few puzzles where I kind of have some natural talent for it. End by ends I can't really turn particularly fast or particularly well, whereas Pyraminx I've always kind of been able to turn pretty easily without having like lockups and stuff. So I don't know, I feel like I was just kind of drawn to it from the good singles, but yeah, I don't know. Over time I just grew to like it more and more.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So when exactly did you switch from the Moyu Magnetic to the X-Man Bell?
I think right around when I got the X-Man Bell, actually. So the reason I didn't get one earlier was because I tried one in 2016. I tried Drew Brads' Bell because he was at a comp where I was, and I didn't particularly like it. I didn't think it was that great. So I decided I would stick with the Moyu. But then my Moyu was kind of getting old, and it wasn't really that good anymore, so I thought I would try something new, because it was actually my second Moyu, so I had been through a couple already. But yeah, so I got a Bell, and I really liked it. I really liked the strong magnets. I liked it a lot more than I thought I would. So I just kind of switched, because my Moyu was getting old.
Mm-hmm. Why did you decide to... I guess this is going back a little bit. Mm-hmm. Were you using L4E, or was that layer by layer with your 8 average?
That was layer by layer.
Okay, so why did you decide to switch to L4E?
Well, I saw a tutorial. Well, not really a tutorial. I saw a couple L4E walkthrough solves on speed solving. And around that time, I had sort of been experimenting with some LBL tricks, like doing a sledgehammer instead of a regular like insert to force last layer skips and things like that. Mm-hmm. Which I kind of didn't realize it at the time, but that's basically L4E, or like L3E really. But yeah, so I kind of already knew the basics for it. Like I knew how to solve L3E cases and things like that. So I saw a couple like example solves, and it made so much sense to me, and I was like, I should probably be using this. I think I averaged probably around 5.5 at the time with LBL, and I decided to switch just because I felt like it had more potential, and I was kind of hitting a wall with layer by layer. And yeah, my times went up momentarily, but since then they've been steadily decreasing and getting faster. Yeah, it just felt like it had more potential, so I went with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I gotta say, I did learn L4E from you walkthrough solves and tutorial videos.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
Uh-huh.
That's so cool.
And
so you use L4E now?
Yes, I do. And
cool,
I have been since I was like around 7 or 8 seconds. So
okay, nice. So you switched earlier, yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I'm glad you do some walkthrough solves every year or so. I really like that.
Yeah. Thanks so much.
Anything else about Pyraminx you would like to share?
Pyraminx. Oh, I actually kind of have a question for you. Have you heard of pseudo V at all?
No, I have not.
Okay, so it's something that people have been talking about a lot recently, as far as Pyraminx goes. So for regular L4E, you solve a V, and then you just solve the rest. Mm-hmm. But so some people, I think Ben Kyle is working on this a decent amount, and some other people are just sort of doing it a little bit. Are working with pseudo V, which is where are you familiar with like pseudo blocks and like FMC and things like that at all?
I wanted to learn FMC this summer, and that's my goal in the next few months, so no.
Okay. Yeah, it's basically where like if you have, so they call it like a pseudo 2x2 if you sort of have a 1x2x2 piece on like on a 3x3. If you have a 1x2x2 block, and then it's like the pieces that would make a 2x2 are solved in relation to each other, but they're not actually solved in relation to the 1x2x2, if that makes sense.
I think so.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to explain without like actually seeing it done. But pseudo V is like the same sort of idea. So you would have like a bar made, which is like 2 centers and 1 edge, and then the other center would not actually be solved, but it would have an edge connected to it. Mm-hmm. And then that sort of makes a V that would be like... So then when you solve the other pieces, you would just sort of have to AUF that side. And then it would be solved. So there are like some really cool solutions you can get with that. I haven't really done much with it myself, but I kind of think it could be a future very viable Pyraminx method. So I don't know. I was curious about your thoughts on that, if you had heard of it.
Yeah, no, I haven't, so I don't have anything to share.
Yeah.
What's the best place to get more information on that?
I'm not really sure if there's any tutorials out there on it or anything, because it's relatively new that people have been actually doing stuff with it. I imagine sometime soon some videos will be released about it once people actually start incorporating it into solves and stuff. But I don't know, it's mostly just kind of intuitively figuring out how to make like a fake V and then just sort of solve the last four pieces, and then like I guess AUF or ARF or whatever side it is that you need to fix.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, I might make a video on it in the future if I start using some more pseudo V in my solves, but I don't really do it enough to be particularly educated on the topic.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so final question: what's something you've changed your mind about recently?
Okay, yeah. So I was thinking about this for a while, trying to come up with something. I think the biggest thing I can come up with in cubing is like the order of my favorite events. So that's constantly changing. More recently, I feel like Megaminx has climbed its way back up closer to the top of my list again. It's not my favorite event or anything, but it was pretty low for a while as far as like I never really practiced it. But recently I've been doing some more Megaminx, so I guess you could say it changed my mind that Megaminx is more fun than I thought it was. And also, I guess this is not so recent, but in the last year or so I've really started to enjoy FMC a lot. So FMC is definitely like one of my favorite events at this point. So that's something I sort of changed my mind about a while ago. But yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, Daniel, I had a fun time chatting with you. Thanks for coming on the Corner Cutter podcast.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Thanks for having me. This was great.
Thanks again, Daniel, for coming on the Corner Cutter podcast. I had a blast talking with you. I'll definitely have links to his channel and the Dilsoni podcast in the show notes this episode, thecornercutterpodcast.com. And I will let you guys know when they start the Dilsoni podcast back up. And I'm excited about the new format. So next week, I'll have my competition results as well as the other normal segments. Remember to send in your audio answers for question of the month. I haven't got any of those yet, so you guys need to send those in if you want to hear the results. You can go to thecornercutterpodcast.com/feedback and record your audio answer there. And the question is, what's something you've misunderstood in cubing? So when you were first getting into cubing, maybe you thought one thing was a certain way, but then later you learned it was a different way, and you made a bad decision on that, or something like that. I want to hear your stories. So again, thecornercutterpodcast.com/feedback. And I need those answers in by August 26th. I've got quite a few awesome guests and show ideas all lined up, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss an episode. I do appreciate you guys listening to the Corner Cutter Podcast. And now it's time to take this episode back to the scrambling table, and I'll talk to you guys again next week in episode 48 of the Corner Cutter Podcast. A few of the upcoming guests are Ian Scheffler, Rami Shabahi, and I also have a Cuber Chats show lined up as well. Thanks for listening.